Hi guys, I have been wanting to post this for a while now, but I never post anything on online until now. I am not one for ghost stories or paranormal stuff, but something happened to me a few years ago that I can quite explain to this day. I thought I had share it here and see if anyone else had similar experience. This happened back in 2018 when I was still in college. My friend Sam and I were looking for a summer rental since we had a few months off from school and wanted to escape the city. We found this old farmhouse on the outskirts of the town. It was pretty cheap for how big it was, and the pictures looked charming enough. Little did we know that there was a reason for the low rent. When we first arrived there, the place was beautiful in a creepy, nostalgic kind of way. It was a big two-story house with a wraparound porch, old wooden floors, and antique furniture. The kind of place you would see in a black and white movie. It had been vacant for quite a while, so it was dusty and needed some cleaning. But that was a part of the charm, right? We spent the first day cleaning it up, unpacking, and getting settled. Everything seemed fine, just a bit eerie because how old the house was. The previous owner, Mr. Thompson, had passed away a few months before, and his family had put it up for rent. They were nice enough, but you could tell they were eager to get rid of this place. That first night, we were exhausted from moving all our stuff in and just wanted to crash. Sam went up to her room on the second floor, and I took the guest room on the main floor. Everything was quiet and peaceful until around 2 a.m. I woke up to the sound of footsteps coming from the upstairs hallway. I thought it was Sam, so I just went back to sleep, not giving any mind to it. But then the footsteps continued, and they were loud, like someone was walking back and forth. I got up to check on Sam, but her door was closed and there was no light coming from under it. I knocked a few times and eventually she opened the door, looking confused. She hasn't been up, and there were no other signs of anyone being there. We went back to sleep, but neither of us slept well that night. We kept hearing those footsteps, sometimes even louder. Sometimes it got soft. It was like someone was pacing back and forth up there, but we couldn't figure out why. The next day, we talked about it and tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just the house settling over the wind, making some noise. We didn't want to jump to ghost conclusions right away, so we tried to ignore it and went about our day. Over the next few weeks, things started to get stranger. It wasn't just footsteps. We heard door crack open and close by themselves. And sometimes we find things moved around. It was subtle stuff at first. A book out of its place, a chair shifted a little, but then it got more obvious. One night, I came home to find the lights in the kitchen flickering on and off, even though no one had been there. One of the creepy incidents happened when Sam and I were sitting on the porch late at night. We were chatting and laughing, trying to ignore the unease we felt about the house. We heard this soft, mournful sound like someone was crying in the distance. We both went inside to check, but there was nothing. just the usual creaks and groans of the old house. One night, things took a turn. Sam was out with her friends, and I was alone. I was in the living room watching TV when I heard a loud crash from the upstairs. It sounded like something heavy had fallen. I grabbed a flashlight and went up to check it out. I was nervous, but I told myself it was probably just something that had fallen over. When I got up to the stairs, the hallway was dark, but I could see that one of the doors was slightly open. I went down the hallway to see what had just happened, and that's when I saw it. The door to the room at the end of the hall was wide open, and the room itself was empty. I walked in and noticed that a picture frame had fallen off the wall and shattered on the floor. As I was cleaning up the mess, I felt a cold breeze blow past me. The air in the room went icy, and I started shivering. I looked around, but there was no open window or door that could explain the cold draft. I finished the cleaning as fast as I could and went back downstairs. The night I tried to sleep, but every little sound made me jump. I finally fell asleep on the couch, only to be woken up by Sam coming in the front door. She noticed that I was on the couch and asked if everything was okay. I told her what happened, and she seemed just as freaked as I was. Then we decided that it was probably time to do some research on this place. We visited the local library and dug through old newspapers and records. We found out that Mr. Thompson had lived alone for many years and that the house had a long history before him, including a fire that killed a family in the 1800s. That was unsettling, to say the least, but it didn't give us many answers that we seeked for. One night, we decided to try something a little different. We set up a camera in the hallway and left a voice recorder running to see if we could capture anything by any chance. We didn't expect that much, but we were curious. The next day, when we were reviewing the footage, we were shocked. In the video, we could see a shadow figure moving across the hallway. It was hard to make out any details from the video, but it was clearly a figure that was not us. And on the audio recording, there was a faint whispering sound. We played it back several times, tried to make out what it was saying, but it was too faint to understand. After that, things seemed to be settled down a bit. The footsteps suddenly stopped, and we didn't hear any more crying or any more moving objects. It was like whatever had been there was satisfied with just making itself known and then leaving us alone. By the end of the summer, we were ready to move out. We didn't have any more major incidents, but the unease was always there. When we packed up our things, we couldn't shake the feeling that someone still watching us. To this day, I still wonder about the place. Was it really haunted, or we were just imagining things? I don't know, but it was one of the creepiest experiences that happened in my life all over the year. So guys, has anyone else had similar experience in an old house or a farmhouse? I am curious to hear your stories and thoughts. Maybe I'm not alone in this. Be safe. Bye. Hello guys. If you like this kind of videos and want to hear more, consider subscribing to this channel. And also check out other videos on this channel too. Like them, share them. Now, back to the story. Hi there. I want to share something that happened to me a few years ago. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but it was one of the scariest things I have ever experienced in my life so far. A few years back, my family and I went to visit my grandparents. They lived in this really old house in a really small town, and it was always give me creeps. The house was huge, with creaky floors, long hallways, and a basement that was always locked. One night, I was staying over and decided to go to the bed early. I was in the guest room on the second floor trying to fall asleep. The room was quiet except for the occasional sound of wind blowing through the old windows. I had just closed my eyes when I heard it, a soft, dragging noise coming from the hallway. At first, I thought it might be the house settling in, or it was a small animal. But then I heard it again. It sounded like something heavy was being dragged across the floor. I tried to ignore it, but it kept going on and on. And it was like dragging was getting closer and closer to my door, then moving away again. I was too scared to get off the bed, so I just lay there, hoping it would stop. After a while, the noise stopped, and I tried to convince myself it was nothing. I even got up and checked the hallway, but there was nothing there. I went back to bed, but I couldn't shake that feeling I was being watched. The next morning, I was still pretty shaken up. I mentioned the noise to my grandma, and she got really quiet. She told me that she had heard similar noises before, but didn't want to worry us kids. She said she thought it was probably the house too. That night, I tried to sleep, but I was on the edge the whole time. Around midnight, I heard the dragging noise again, but this time it was even louder, more persistent. I could hear it moving up and down through the hallway, just like before. I wanted to go downstairs to see if someone was up, but I was too scared to leave the room, even my bed. Finally, I managed to fall asleep, and the next morning I was so relieved to get out of the house. I didn't tell my grandpa or my parents about the noises because I didn't want them to freak out. But I never been able to forget that night. I'm still thinking about it sometimes and wonder what that noise was. Was it just an old house making noises, or was something there more sinister going on? I guess I will never know, but it was definitely an experience I wouldn't forget. Has anyone else had similar experience in an old house? I am curious to know if there are any explanation for these kind of things, or if I was just imagining things from the thin air. Hope you guys like these stories. If you did enjoy them, please consider subscribing to this channel. Check out my other videos, like them, share them, and don't forget to enable the bell icon. For more videos, stay tuned. And if you have any suggestions, please post them in the comment section. Till the next time, This is Malayali Wendigo. Bye.